I'm Peter Harris. I've been building Utopia, Cafe and Dream Space, which is what we're calling this whole complex, for 7 years now. So we're having a celebration of that 7th year mark having been reached. And we have an organic cafe that's been open about 6 years here in Kaiwaka, or Northland in New Zealand. And during that time I've been writing as well. Some people say I'm a writer, some people say I'm a builder, some people say I'm crazy, some people say I'm inspiring, other people say I'm irresponsible and inappropriate, but I am what I am, and I hope that this film will be of interest to the dreamers, the creators, harvesters, rejoicers, to quote Nietzsche, who went on, when Zarathustra went on to say, henceforth I will make company with rejoicers, with harvesters, with creators. I will show them the rainbow and the stairway to the overman, which is pretty cool, no matter what you think of Nietzsche. So, there we are, that's me.
This is a great moment in history, and congratulations to Peter James Harris of Kaiwaka. So my name's John Harris, and I had the original germ of the idea that Peter's gone and embellished and made into this fantastic trilogy.
Yes, so Utopia Press is mostly so that we could print the present incarnation of the book and put it out there, get readers giving us feedback, and make it feel like a book and evolve it, because it seems like evolution is a good way to go, rather than trying to just create something straight off and put it out there and say this is perfect, which it never really is. This book talks about a utopian order that was and could be again, and Utopia is hopefully showing a little bit of the blueprint of what that could be like, what it would involve, what maybe some of the architecture in it might be if people were living for beauty as well as the other things like survival, truth, freedom.
One day I thought, if anything's ever going to happen with the story, I need to find someone to write it and develop it. And who better than my younger brother Peter, because he'd studied languages, he was an expert in Tolkien, he had a wonderful way of writing, and he was also heavily into mystery and mythology. So I gave Peter a brief, and he went away, and rather than just developing it, he went so deep and so wide and so huge that he created this fantastic world that hopefully in future generations will come to love and immerse themselves in.
And there's a tie-in, because there's labyrinths in the book, and there's labyrinths going to be here, and there's 5 aspects which are in the courtyard here, and they're also in the book. The Girl and the Guardian, volume 1 of the provisionally named The Apples of Eden. According to my dream, that was the name that I got in the dream, so I'm sort of sticking to it until I get another dream. And this is about, really about a 9-world republic that was and could be again.
It all began about 20 years ago, I think, and I was travelling from Auckland to the far north for a holiday with a carload of children, and we were stuck in a traffic jam in Silverdale, which was a small town out of Auckland. And as we were stuck there, I just happened to look across beside the road, and there were these huge boulders, and my imagination started to go. And then I looked further, and there was this little valley with the mist hanging over it, and my imagination ran wild, and I think I had a moment of a dream where I imagined that in this valley there was an army, a frozen army of medieval knights just standing there frozen, waiting for something, waiting for a moment in history, something that they were predestined to do. And I started to think on the journey further north, and as it happened also, I happened to look out, and I was driving carefully, but I happened to look out in the farm, and there was a horse, a white horse, that seemed to be, for a while, keeping pace with the car. And I put these two things together, and that was the start of a story that I still refer to as Silverdale, because that's where it was born.
John and I have been working on this story for about 12 years, and this is about the 10th edit of Volume 1 of what was formerly called the Silverdale trilogy, and now the Apples of Eden. People will sit back and judge you by those standards that you're working towards, as if somehow you've got to be the embodiment of them, which you certainly try to be, but unfortunately saying it is not the same as doing it. The Icon of Armenia, which was a spin-off from this trilogy, and it was set in the medieval, pre-medieval times, and it involves the same fantasy world. So this has been selling for a while now, and I've been gradually editing and improving it, and it's now got the same extended appendices that Volume 1 of the Apples of Eden has got, and the invented language is growing as we speak.
Here's a beautiful little piece that Peter carved, and that is a pendant showing the boy raiders. And I think the lost boys, these little kids who found themselves swept into another world, a world of adventure and real grown-up issues, it's fantastic. And I think future generations of kids will just love it. And I hope that future generations of kids love the whole world that Peter has created. So Peter, thank you very much for taking my idea and making it into a trilogy that is really a world-class work of literature. And over there is a map that once again Peter did with his genius for creating a world and making a map of it, showing all the details of the journeys of Shelley and Lord Corman.
If you cut the apple across the core, you get a beautiful pattern which is a 5-pointed star. So that's what the pentacle represents in the Celtic and pagan tradition, and it's got nothing to do with Satanism except by the church's later propaganda. We are kind of reviving that concept and making it central to the book, that Eden is only really achieved when we honour the goddess and life, and that apple and the cut apple and the pentacle represent that. And so the five arms, the 5 worlds that surround the 6th world, which is Eden itself, is all woven into the book.
I call Peter the Wizard, well, doesn't everyone, and he calls me the Blue Knight, and we try and encourage each other and exhort each other in the low times when we're in this dark tunnel and there seems to be no end, just to keep on going and make sure that this trilogy is finished for future generations.
Things drag out, as we found. The more idealistic the thing is, the longer it can take. And who said life is short, art is long? I carved the table sometime in the 7 years while we've been building Utopia, and it says around the edge, live hand in hand and together we'll stand on the threshold of a dream. And that's pretty much sums up the spirit of how we started this place.
Keep the faith, Peter. It's a beautiful sword. Peter James Harris made this too. What a wonder kid. Finish the book, Peter.
Finally, a toast to beauty, truth, love and freedom.